He wanted to allow visitors to reach the viewpoint overlooking the canyon, which someone once said was so high only angels could land there. This amazing trail is listed in the National Register of Historic Places.
The canyon rim. National Park Service closes some of the rock's nest.
That's chump change. We're feeding the wildlife. You might get some neck problems walking through Zion. It's all you want to be doing, looking up. So this is just kind of a regular canyon area, but regardless, I've never been anywhere where there's a more imposing rock structure surrounding you than in Zion, because it just looms over you, and the way that the rock is carved out is so unique. So this is the entrance to the Narrows. I wanted to do it, but clearly you got to get in the water, and I figured I could do it barefoot, but after further review, I think I'd last like 30 minutes, 20 minutes max before my feet started crying. This is called the Virgin River, and honestly, after yesterday's hike, had me down pretty bad physically. I don't feel that motivated to go do anything too strenuous, so I kind of want to just chill with a G like this behind me by the Virgin River and just cool out, you know? Just cool out. Just be cooling with a G like this. And that water's moving now.
Well, you could.
If you got a death wish. Today's word comes from the book of Job. The context for this is Job was a very wealthy man, and God allows Satan to basically ruin Job's life, to tempt Job and then to start physically harming him, but God does not allow him to kill Job. Since Job was a man who had it all, God basically bet Satan, or told Satan, you're not going to turn Job away from me. He's allowed to test Job. He's allowed to mess with Job. Job's life goes terribly. Satan plagued Job with sores, with boils, big blister things from his head to his toes. His whole body's covered in them. This is after a whole lot of stuff has happened to him. But his friends come to visit him, and Job has basically cursed his own life. His friend comes with encouragement. His name is Eliphaz, and this comes from chapter 4, verse 8. And this is basically words of encouragement for Job. He says, "As for me, I would seek God, and to God would I commit my cause, who does great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number. He gives rain on the earth and sends waters on the fields. He sets on high those who are lowly, and those who mourn are lifted to safety. He frustrates the devices of the crafty so that their hands achieve no success. He catches the wise in their own craftiness, and the schemes of the wily are brought to a quick end. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope at noontime as in the night. But he saves the needy from the sword of their mouth and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor have hope, and injustice shuts her mouth." And so those words that Eliphaz speaks to Job are just as true then as they are now. Or should I say, they're just as true now as they were then. In terms of just finding support for someone who's going through a tough time. He eloquently phrased what God's position is in people's life. He does marvelous things. Look at around us. Which one thing I'm starting to really appreciate is coming into nature is this stuff. It's a paradox. The word nature is in itself could be looked as an oxymoron, because this does not happen naturally. A massive amount of water causes stuff like this to happen, and I've started to connect the dots at every single one of these places that I'm going to. And when it's water that carves out these amazing structures of nature that get turned into national monuments, it happened because a massive amount of water over a who knows how long, in probably multiple events, multiple catastrophic series of events. With that just being tied into why, because like people, it's unfathomable unless you're here to be able to bask in the beauty of places like this, and just that understanding of this beauty came it from my perspective. It has a large part to do with the flood, Noah's Ark's flood, and that just adds a whole other layer to the magnificence of God and the presence of God in places like this. Just that acknowledgement, every breath that you breathe is a form of worship in a place like this. Once you attain the presence of God and you give your life to Jesus, and then being in places like this, it just, it really makes you, it's hard to put in words, but yeah, anyways, not trying to get emotional, but starting this Utah tour, and Zion is just it's my favorite place I've ever been in the world. It's the first place I've been to that I haven't been to yet in my life on this trip, or that I have been to, sorry. So it's the second time I've been here. Everywhere else has been a new place for me. And it's just like that same experience I had last time. There's a reason why it's my favorite place in the world. So anyways, I'm going to go explore a little more. Thanks for watching. And it's starting to rain, so I'm going to look for some viable options of what to do if it starts raining hard. So we're going to go back to the visitor center. Just riding in the shuttle alone makes stopping here worth it. Even if you like don't get out and do hikes. I mean, I just did like a 2-mile hike, but that's not even a hike. You're walking on a paved path. Let's be real. If I don't go do some crazy nice hikes, it's worth being here just riding through the shuttle, looking up. It's hard to put into words and like to capture it on camera what these canyons, like how freaking imposing these canyons are. We have found out, and we will continue finding out. The sun came out. It's a beautiful day. You're all good, man.
Oh, now it's a good picture.
Yeah, oh yeah. That
You can Photoshop me out.
the oyster crackers. They're nice. So in Job chapter 7, Job continues to complain about the situation that he's been put in. You know, Satan has inflicted these terrible physical ailments on Job, and he is crying out in agony and basically complaining, confiding in his friends, basically saying his life has no hope. He says, like a slave who longs for the shadow, and like a hired hand who looks for his wages, so I am allotted months of emptiness, and nights of misery are a portion to me. And then he later says, my flesh is clothed with worms and dirt. My skin hardens, then breaks out afresh. So as you can imagine, he's in a pretty miserable state physically, and it is paying its toll on him mentally and spiritually. Later goes on in verse 20. If I sin, what do I do to you, you watcher of mankind? Why have you made me your mark? Why have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For now I shall lie in the earth. You will seek me, but I shall not be. So Job is basically saying, you know what, I'm going to give up. I'm going to lie down in this earth. Lord, if you seek me, I will no longer be. And he's pleading to the Lord, and because he's obviously confused. He was a man of God and was blessed by God, and now he's been struck by all these tragedies and ailments, and he's pleading with God. He's saying, why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? He's confused, and now he's lost all hope. until we keep going into chapter 8. His other friend Bildad, one of the three, tells Job that he should repent. So he comes with more of a direct attack towards him, and he says, "How long will you say these things? If your children have sinned against him, he has delivered them into the hand of their transgression." And if we go back in the chapter, it talks about at the beginning, chapter 1, verse 4, his sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and consecrate them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did continually. So basically, his kids are out here living reckless, partying, and Job tries to burn offerings for them to make up for that. And so Bildad puts him in his place as far as that goes and says, "Your children have sinned." He had 10 children, 7 boys and 3 girls. He made the house and clothes on them, and they all died while partying. He later goes on and says, "If you will seek God and plead with the Almighty for mercy, if you are pure and upright, surely then he will rouse himself for you and restore your rightful habitation. And though your beginning was small, your latter days will be very great." So that's a very positive and encouraging message there. And then in verse 9, "For we are but of yesterday and know nothing, for our days on earth are a shadow." So he concludes with that, saying the positive message, reinforcing, saying, hey, seek God, right? Seek God and he'll work. Plea for mercy. And then concludes with saying, anyways, we're just shadows on this earth anyways. Our days on earth are a shadow. They're fleeting, right? And so he basically is like, come on now. And then later, verse 11 says, "Can papyrus, I don't even know how to say that. It's a plant. It's a tree. Can papyrus grow where there is no marsh? Can reeds flourish where there is no water?" So he's basically saying, how are you going to grow if you don't water yourself, if you don't seek God? Which I think is something that we can all sort of apply to our life, is if times of desperation come, times of struggle and severe transgression, severe pains inflicted in your life, if you turn away from God, how is God supposed to work through you through that? You know? And so it can be easy to want to point a finger at God, but it's like, you're on this earth for a reason. You can't get bogged down by the details of every other aspect on this earth except for you, yourself, and your life. And we owe it to our Creator, right? And so we don't have a place to point the finger. And so in those times of desperation, turn towards God in those times of peril, and he'll restore hope. He'll restore peace. God will never just abandon us. He has a purpose for our life. So thanks for watching.
It's very cool. It was very cool. Just be careful.
I gotcha. It almost looks like another planet out here. A lot of Utah is like this, where it just kind of looks like Mars or Mercury or Saturn. Maybe Saturn the most. I don't know though. Doesn't really look like it's from this planet. Zion is my favorite place in the world. I came here about 4 years ago with my family, and it left an impression on me. And I've often think about this place, and so to finally be here again feels good. It almost like feels like I'm at home, even though I've only been here once. It's pretty cool. Like this backdrop right here, Just all the lines and the like the detail of this formation right here. And then you realize it's all got slanting lines like that. Nature, I love being out in nature, but I love the nature spots that you can tell nature has taken place, meaning years of torrential flooding, rain, wind, erosion, years and years, and series of events that caused these formations to form the way they did. It's just crazy to think about. Man has nothing in comparison to building a view like nature. God is the almighty creator, and over the years, it's just gotten even more wicked looking, more crazy looking. It's crazy to think about what this world would look like in like 2,000 years. Probably a nuclear wasteland, but anyways.